Hey everybody, hope you all are doing well. Just wanted to send some encouragement your way again today, and I thought I would just share a little bit just out of my personal time in Psalm 121. One of the things that I've been just reminded of in this time is just how important our worship of God is. And, we're not able to gather together and do that corporately all in one setting right now. And I miss that. I miss being able to be together for that corporate worship. But it's also really important that we have that personal, that individual worship of God. And in fact, if our personal, our individual worship of God is skinny, is small, that is going to then affect when we come all together to worship God as a church family. And so I've just been reminded during this time how crucial even our personal worship of God is. I think one of the things that has helped me the most with that is just simply as I go through a passage or come back through a passage after maybe some of the initial things that I looked at, but to come back through and to look and say, so God, what does this teach me about who you are? What does this remind me of about who you are? And then as I identify those things, to speak those things to him in praise, in adoration, in worship of who he is. It's not always the main point of every passage, but who God is woven in just throughout his word. And so to help me cultivate that close relationship, like what we see of David. I mean, it's one of the reasons I love the Psalms so much. The ones that David wrote, you just see how close, how intimate, how real his relationship was with God, just like it is with another human being on earth. David sought after and had that real relationship with God. God was not just someone that he heard about from others or read about in some of the writings that were already written in his day. God was someone that was not merely academic to David, but someone who is real and is personal. And we want that and need that for our own lives as well. And so I just wanted to share a little bit from my personal worship of God from Psalm 121, where we were this past Sunday. And hopefully these things can be an encouragement to you, can help you let your mind and your heart, your affections be drawn to your God. And maybe you can take some of the things and list out some more things that you see and that you think of. So in verse 1, I put this: you are the one that can be looked to. And then I put a little note, list for what? What things am I able to look to God for? I started to write just a couple of things. God, I can look to you for wisdom. I can look to you for comfort. How good is it that we can look to God for all things? It's wonderful that he's the one that we can look to. In verse 1 and 2, I put, you are my helper. And so what are ways that I see that God is my helper? You are the maker of heaven and earth. Wow. I mean, go outside and start to look around and think through all the things that God has made. It's incredible. It's amazing. I mean, that puts us into that place of worship when we look at his creation. We look to the heavens of what he has made. And so list some of those things out. Let it just stir your soul, stir your heart, encourage you with who God is. In verse 3 and 4, maybe you talked about this some even with your 1024 group this past week. You never sleep. What would happen if he did, if he fell asleep for a little bit? But he doesn't. And so here's what it means for my life, because you're the God that never sleeps. In verse 3 as well, you are my stabilizer. You keep my foot from slipping. You bring stability to my life. And so identifying, here are ways, God, that you bring stability to me. In verse 5 and 8, you are my keeper. Pastor spoke so much of this, so well of this on Sunday, of just how God is our keeper. And so seeing that in the text and then looking in my life and saying, God, here's how you keep me. Here are ways that you keep me. And so it's just amazing to look and see this is who our God is. And it is so important for our life, whether it's because we're walking through the kind of days that we're walking through right now, or whether it's in the days where we say, boy, I can't think of much for big struggles, right? God's really been good to me, and today has been a good day. And boy, it doesn't matter where it is on the spectrum, from a really good day in our book to a really difficult day. Really, it's irrelevant. The need to worship God remains the same. And so I hope this can encourage your own heart. I hope that it can help draw you to worship of God. Take some time to walk through some of those things yourself and just see how cool it is when you start to list out those things of ways that God is your helper, that he is bringing stability to your life, the things that he has made. Just enjoy writing these down and worshiping God for these things, letting your personal worship grow and be real as you have that close, real relationship with your God.